Hello, everyone. Welcome to the January 27th, 2025 episode of Stack in the Box. And I do have to clarify it is 2025 because no, you did not wake up in 2023. You are not experiencing deja vu. It is the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles back in the Super Bowl again, the matchup that everyone was begging for. To talk about it, Sterling Holmes with me, as always. Sterling, the floor is yours. Your Chiefs, as you called it, as all Chiefs fans called it, are back in the Super Bowl for the third straight year.
Just another year. Just another year here in KC. Just another year. These are expectations now. No, man, this is ridiculous. It's absurd. 15 years ago, my goal in life was to see the Chiefs win, not even win, make it to a Super Bowl. If they won one, I was going to lose my mind. And they did. After that first one, I never thought, again, never in my wildest dreams when watching Brody Croyle and Brady Quinn and Tyler Thigpen and Kyle Orton, shout out Kyle Orton for that one win against Green Bay. You know, when they were Matt Castle, we were thrilled when we got Tom Brady's cast off. When Matt Castle came to Kansas City, we thought, oh my gosh, we might win a playoff game. And then Alex Smith and Andy Reid and that Concordia, or that duo was able to really put this team on steady ground. That's what it was, because this was a franchise in disarray. Andy and Alex, they brought stability to a franchise that needed it. And then obviously we know what happened with Patrick. But I think a lot of people have this misconception of Chiefs fans that, and there are some that are bandwagon. There are some that this is all they know if they are younger. But if you're 25 years...
He's 2 for 2 in Super Bowl appearances.
Right? But like if you're, like my friends have kids, they're 2 years old. All they know is winning. If you're 3 years old, your kid's 3, all they know is winning. Like, I get it for those, but if you've been around, the Chiefs have not been this storied franchise. They were early on. Take that back. Storied is wrong. They've not been this massively successful franchise because early on, 60s, 70s, obviously they had some success. The first Super Bowl they lost, won the fourth one, but then there was a long time frame, 50 years. 50 years between Super Bowls, right? So I'm not saying Chiefs fans deserve this, but drink it in. We're also witnessing history. If you are an NFL fan, one of my pet peeves from yesterday's game that I just want to gloss over because I want to talk about the game, okay? And I hate that I'm doing this now, but one of my pet peeves, how much was, but you know the refs. What about this call? What about this non-call? What about this? It seemed like every single thing was being looked at through a magnifying glass, even if it would be the right call. It just still, that was the takeaway, was the ref. If that was, why are we not watching and letting history unfold? Why are we not enjoying one of the best games of the entire NFL season between the Bills and the Chiefs as it came down to the wire? Why was that not the main takeaway? That was more or less my frustration. Because I feel like we've gotten so hyper-focused on every little missed call or even right call that now that's all we care about. We don't care about football. And for those people, I'm like, do you even watch the NFL? Do you even care about the NFL? Or do you just care about complaining?
Yeah, I actually do agree with you. I do think the refs played too big of a story this past week in terms of the public narrative around the game. I think the two calls that kind of people are complaining about the most, the kind of like the dual catch that they gave to Worthy there, and then, whether or not he had control when they went to the ground, and then there was the first down. But both of them, did they go the Chiefs' way? Yeah. I do get the fans are generally just sick of those kind of toss-up calls going the Chiefs' way because they do go the Chiefs' way, but also, like, I'm not going to say they're bad calls either. Like, I get, like, if for the first down, if there was an X-ray and you could see through all the bodies, then maybe the ball was across the first down marker, but there was no clear angle that showed that Josh Allen was past the first down marker. They had to stick with the call on the field. Now, maybe the call on the field was wrong. There's arguments to be made, but at the end of the day, I actually agree with you as a guy who did complain about the refs for a long time. It was too much of the public narrative yesterday. But, Sterling, to counter that, Chiefs fans should just not care. Chiefs fans now have almost become more annoying, or not more annoying, almost as annoying as people complaining about the refs are Chiefs fans defending the refs or arguing back. You guys shouldn't care. You guys shouldn't even talk about it. It should be like, who cares? The game's over. We won again. You guys stink. Get good next time. How about that? That's what you guys should say.
Oh yeah,
Chiefs fans, they're arguing against the ref, the other side too much. Leave it alone. It doesn't matter.
yeah. My main takeaway was let's talk about that first down situation when they went for it on fourth down. The reason why I'm so like, who cares? Sure, maybe he got it, maybe he didn't. We'll never know. It's too tough to tell. Don't leave it up into their hands. It was 4th and inches. You don't have to just get inches. Maybe get a full yard. You keep going to the same play, and you've been stopped multiple times on this same play. That's on Sean McDermott or the OC, however you want to break it down. The Chiefs did a great job against the tush push. I mean, it was insane. So the Chiefs did have a fourth down. What did they do? Did they try and get inches, or did they pick up the first down? They picked up the first down. They didn't make it close. Don't even put a call in the ref's hands to be made. And I think that's almost a storyline that never gets talked about. I think Andy Reid, by the way, in this game had his best coaching performance of this season by far. The aggressiveness, coupled with the play calling, coupled with going with Kareem Hunt over Isaiah Pacheco, it was a lovely thing to watch. Patrick was outstanding outside of a one drive where he must have ate popcorn on the sideline because he could not hold into that football. I thought Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy, because Xavier Worthy, my goodness, his ability to do everything, go up and get it, slants, RPOs, doesn't matter. Xavier Worthy as a rookie has just been phenomenal. And it's not like the Bills could have had him. By the way, Ian, for people that don't know this, not only did we know that the Chiefs were able to get Patrick because of the trade with Buffalo, right?
Yeah.
You know that Buffalo traded last year with the Chiefs, and the Chiefs ended up getting Xavier Worthy, and the Bills said we wanted Keon Coleman.
Yep.
Who was the difference maker in this game? Was it Keon or was it
No,
Xavier
it was
Worthy?
Xavier Worthy, and
and by the way, what about Kyer Elam versus Trent McDuffie? That was a big storyline too.
Yeah.
The Chiefs traded up just ahead of Buffalo, drafted Trent McDuffie, and then the Bills ended up getting Kyer Elam, who got picked on in that game, and who was CB1. Again, if you're Buffalo, you've done a great job of building this team. You have the second best quarterback in the NFL. But at some point, stop trading with the Chiefs. Don't let them get in front of you on a trade. You hear the Chiefs get in front of you, say, no, we got to try and find a way to get back in front of them because they keep taking your guys.
Yeah, I'd be a little careful in the Xavier Worthy parade the Chiefs fans are going on this morning because, yes, last night, obviously, Xavier Worthy was a much better weapon, but we're still one season into this, so let's relax.
If you saw the growth from game one until now, you would be just
for sure.
Impressed. Just impressed. I know.
I'm just saying.
I'm with you. It's been 1 year. And I think Keon Coleman's really good. I think both guys, almost like Patrick and Josh, where you're like, okay, yeah, he's not that guy, but he's still a really good player. It's the McDuffie versus the Kyer Elam one that always makes me really laugh because one guy is CB1, he was ranked the number one player or number one cornerback according to PFF. Kyer Elam is just getting picked on. I thought Steve Spagnuolo, defensive coordinator for Kansas City, called a ridiculously good game. I know 29 points were given up. The Bills made some great plays. Mac Hollins, what a catch. What a touchdown. What a throw by Josh. That play was just ridiculous. James Cook's ability to get into the end zone while getting hit by Justin Reed and Nick Bolton was, I have no idea how he kept his hands and his knees from not touching. Like, how did his forearm not go down? How did his knees not go down? The Bills wanted it. They played really good football. It just was not enough. I thought Steve Spagnuolo, Josh Allen's really good on blitzes, right? When there's pressure in his face, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He was, 1 of 8 for 4 yards when he was pressured in this game. Spags drew up exotic blitzes. That final throw, which, by the way, holy Josh Allen. That was ridiculous.
Hold on. You're bouncing around to all the topics. We got a whole show to get through all of these
I'm excited.
Topics. Hold on.
I'm excited. Here, give me this one. Give me this one.
You brought up like 5 talking points I want to get into already.
Yeah, give me 1 second. That final play. Play. 4th and 5. What a play by Josh Allen. I don't know if really any other, him and Mahomes maybe, are the only two quarterbacks that can throw the football, understand the situation, and get that much on it to actually get it to a player downfield. He gave Dalton Kincaid a chance. Now, the people who are ripping on Kincaid, calm down. That's a very difficult catch. Very difficult. But the fact that Josh Allen even had an opportunity to give him is ridiculous. But that blitz by Steve Spagnuolo, man, that's nightmares. That is, holy crap, ridiculous. What other DC in the NFL does that in that situation? I don't know of a single one.
Okay, so I do want to address something Trevor said as soon as we went live here. Happy that the world's newest Chiefs fan gets to celebrate an AFC championship and celebrate covering the spread. I did bet massive on the Chiefs. Finally, I turned to the dark side and bet on them. And I don't recommend anyone do this, gamble responsibly, but I think 6 units on the Chiefs last night. So it's nice to be on the right side of a close Chiefs win. Last week, obviously, if you didn't catch on, it was a little bit of a bit. I was throwing out every reverse jinx I possibly knew. It was my final tool in the toolbox. I wasn't being serious. I was being a little tongue-in-cheek, but I think I've gone from now being a Chiefs hater, calling them frauds, which is where I was during most of the season. Last week, obviously, I went the complete opposite direction, mostly as a reverse jinx. I think I've kind of landed in the middle, where, like, obviously calling them frauds was kind of stupid. I was relying on stats a little bit too much. They are the best team of this generation. They find ways to play their best football in the biggest games. That was outside of the one fumble. That was a near perfect game by Kansas City, and the Bills did not play a perfect game. The Chiefs played an A game. The Bills played an A- game, and that's not enough to beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. Steve Spagnuolo, and I know this is not a hot take, he's might be the best defensive coordinator of all time. And I'm not saying that tongue in cheek, because even if you go pre-Chiefs, he drew up one of the greatest Super Bowl defensive game plans of all time to defeat the greatest offense of all time in that undefeated Patriots team. So this is not necessarily just, Patrick Mahomes dragging him to the Super Bowl, but I think even defense has played almost a bigger role, maybe not bigger, but just as big of a role in Mahomes' Super Bowl wins than Mahomes has himself.
I think the past couple of years, and maybe not even necessarily this game, Patrick was outstanding. This was This was complimentary football here. But yeah, I think you can make the case that the defense, especially with how much money is allocated to the offense versus the defense, Spags is doing just ridiculous work with what is given to him. Now, there are a lot of high draft picks on the defense, right? Kind of the Chiefs' method is you'll pay the offensive line, you're paying Patrick, you got Travis. That's kind of where your money's allocated to. You're paying Chris Jones on the defense, but then it's a lot of first, second, and third rounders. Now there's some seventh rounders thrown in there. You obviously have Justin Reed as your veteran, kind of free agent signing. But again, it's a lot of youth, and Spags has done a great job. Just doesn't matter the cornerback. Travarius Ward, undrafted, turn him into a Pro Bowler. This year, Jalen Watson, 7th rounder. L'Jarius Sneed was a 4th rounder. Trey McDuffie, 1st rounder. But just all the guys that he has to rotate through in the secondary, and he finds ways, and just the intelligence of those guys to understand what is going on. I've just been so impressed with Spags, and I think he's going to be the first DC to ever get put into the Hall of Fame as a DC, not as a head coach. I think he's legitimately a Hall of Fame defensive coordinator. I think you're right. I need to do a little more research, but he might be the best defensive coordinator of all time. I think you're right. And it's not just for what he's done in Kansas City, but also what he did with the Giants. That needs to be taken into account too. He is just an absolute madman and has the stones to do some things that I think other DCs want to do, but don't want to get. He has the reputation, right? And he has the rings to back it up. If that play didn't work, that blitz didn't work on that final drive, what happens? How do you blitz in that situation? How do you give Josh Allen, a one-on-one or a free receiver down the field? But it worked. And if it doesn't work, what happens? He can just go back and say, yeah, well, you know what? I've got these rings because of the times I've done that. So that gives you a little more allowance to be aggressive. And that aggressiveness in this game in particular really paid off.
Yeah, he might be the perfect example of a guy who's meant to be a coordinator, not a head coach. Because when he has been a head coach, hasn't been good. He has an 11-41 record as a head coach, which is not good. Do you think he's going to go back and try to give head coaching another chance? Because there'd be teams that would kill to have him as a head coach right now, probably.
But we've thought that for a while. I don't understand how teams have not poached Kansas City. It makes no sense. Like, they poached Doug Peterson. He won a Super Bowl. They poached Matt Nagy. He won Coach of the Year and took Trubisky to the playoffs. And somehow people keep saying, well, yeah, Eric Bieniemy did not have a lot of success. He's now, at UCLA. But it was this situation. But he couldn't get a head coaching job. Like, after Peterson, you had Mike Kafka go to the Giants early on. But he was just a QB coach. Like, I've been a little perplexed that, like, Dave Tobe has not been poached. Steve Spagnuolo, not been poached. Andy Heck, the offensive line coach, not been poached. Daly, not been poached. You look at Dave Merritt, who's been known as the best defensive backs coach in the NFL for a couple years now. Part of that's on him. He's kind of said he wanted to wait for his kids to go through high school, but not been poached. He even said if the 49ers would have offered him the job, he would have been hard-pressed to turn that one down last year. Didn't offer him. Like, I don't know why teams have not come after the KC coordinators, but I thank them. And maybe they go after Spags this year, but at this point, does Spags do it? He's older now. Is Spags saying, I kind of just want to keep bolstering my resume and go down as the greatest DC in NFL history?
Yeah. Trevor asked, should the 2022 draft class go down as the best of all time, given the results? I don't know about best of all time. Pretty good, though. Let me list off the names here. They had 2 first-round picks, Trent McDuffie and George Karlaftis. Missed on Sky Moore. So I had high expectations for Sky Moore there in a second-round pick. Brian Cook, Leo Chanel, Joshua Williams, Darian Kennard, Jalen Watson, and Isaiah Pacheco, both 7-round picks, is crazy. Najee Johnson, has he done anything? I don't recognize
he's not good. He's played. He played a whole bunch of this game, and he was a guy getting torched.
Okay.
Yeah.
But still, Jalen Watson, Isaiah Pacheco, 7th round, Trent McDuffie, George Karlaftis. I would dream of Falcons draft class to be like that.
It's a really good one. The issue is, the Steelers drafted 4 Hall of Famers in like one draft class.
Right.
I'm
sure there's some others out there
different eras, but there are some that are crazy. There's one, I think it's the Steelers that had like 4 out of 5 draft picks in a row that were all Hall of Famers. You're like, okay, yeah, that's probably the one.
And the one that sticks out here is Sky Moore. Like, if they would have drafted a receiver that would have hit there, then that would have been unbelievable. But they did kind of miss on Sky Moore.
Yeah, but also it's not a different, I know it's a different conversation, but a head case. Like, I like George Pickens' talent, but that was the guy that everyone points to.
Yeah.
I don't know if George Pickens, what he does in this team. Like, I don't know mentally if he's still a me first guy and he breaks up that wide receiver room, if he just demands the ball. Like, I think there's some things that Casey does for a reason where it's like, hey, if we think you are a potential pariah, if we think you're a me first guy, you're not going to play for us.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify my opinion, what I was trying to get to earlier, and I was long-winded in getting there. I don't want to be a Chiefs hater anymore. Can I still cheer against the Chiefs? Can I cheer against the Chiefs without being a hater?
Yes. We did it with the Patriots. For how long?
Well, no, I was a Patriots hater.
I respected the hell of the Patriots, but I rooted against them.
Yeah, okay. Well, maybe that's where I'm at with the Chiefs now, because I still don't like seeing the same team win every year. That's not entertaining to me. That's not fun. I like seeing new fans, new teams win the Super Bowl. But I'm done trying to say that it's variance, that it's luck, that they have things go their way, that refs are on their side. I'm done with that.
The Bills recovered all 5 fumbles.
What's that?
The Bills. There are 5 balls on the ground. The Bills recovered all 5.
I saw you tweet that, and I even said last week, though, the Chiefs always recover their own fumbles.
Besides the Bills. The Bills this year, especially at the end of the season, were historically incredible.
But
I think down the stretch, they had recovered 11 of 17, and they had 0 turnovers. They had 1 turnover, but 0 fumbles, I believe is what it was.
This is where I push back against some Chiefs fans here, Sterling, because, like, yes, what you're saying is correct, but the Chiefs undoubtedly have so many 50-50 things go their way that you can't bring that up.
Sure. Agreed, but that's still pretty crazy. 5.
Sure.
5.
Well, yeah, but also like Josh Allen dropped it as he was falling, like in the same spot.
That ball was out. That ball was out.
Yeah, but then it came out right below him, and like it was all in one motion. He just landed on top of it. So like that's not the same as like
that one. Yeah, I thought you were talking about the one where he was jumping over the line. The one over the line.
That is what I'm talking about.
Oh no, I thought you were talking about the one where he got
tuck it in, and it slipped open, and it fell right below him. Like he there was no chance the Chiefs would have been able to get that.
I was going to say the one that Mike Dana got. I was going to say that one was like a maybe because it fell right to him, but also the ball bounced right to him when Mike Dana had that strip sack on him.
Yeah, heads up play.
I
think what my point is, not all fumbles should be looked at equal. Like, they're not all bouncing balls all over the place and the Bills happen to jump on them.
Oh, agreed. I'm not saying that either. I'm just saying it was pretty crazy. That's all I'm saying.
You know what's pretty crazy is everything that's gone the Chiefs' way this year. That's pretty crazy.
You know what's crazy? The Chiefs are going back to 3 straight Super Bowls.
Gone the Chiefs' way. It's unbecoming for a Chiefs fan to be like, "Wow, the Bills get some really good fumble luck."
No, I wasn't even necessarily saying that. It was more or less me trying to say how good the Chiefs were in this game. That the Chiefs lost their turnover battle. They didn't recover a single one of those fumbles, and they still won this football game.
Yeah, lost a turnover battle, -1, but yeah, correct.
But still, when you're playing a team that I think is, you and I have somewhat disagreed here with this. I thought there was a clear 4. Detroit, Eagles, but then Detroit kind of fell with the injuries, and then Chiefs, Bills. I know you had the Ravens, and a lot of people did, but the Bills to me were a much better team, and part of it's because I trust Josh Allen. That's part of the reason why. I get it.
I get that part of it. I mean, analytics say the Ravens were the best team in the NFL.
I get it, but you know my
there has to be something to be like. You can't say the best analytics team is then 5th in the NFL. Like I'll see arguments where like, there's other teams that what?
I thought the Ravens were the 5th best team this year.
Okay.
I
do think I see what you're saying about Josh Allen. I do think the Ravens would have gave it a tougher fight.
And I do think, again, you and I push back a little bit on this. I love numbers in baseball. I love stats and analytics in baseball. I think in a football season, there's not enough games that you can get a great sample size. I think it's just too small. 162 versus 17 to me is just such a large, vast difference. And in that 17, especially in football, you don't know what's going on late in the game in fourth quarters. Are they running the score up? Are they not? Which, again, you know my thoughts on Baltimore occasionally running the score up on teams when they didn't need to makes those numbers look a little better. That's neither here nor there. The point remains, the Bills, I thought, were the second best team in the AFC about all season long, and they had some things potentially, again, with the fumbles and the turnover battle, and they still lost. That, to me, just shows how much better the Chiefs really are or were than they were. That's more or less where I was going with that conversation.
I think my issue with the Bills, and I know like a few plays went their way. Josh Allen had a chance to lead a game-winning drive, didn't get it done. But my issue heading into this game, and it proved to be true, was the Bills' defense. I know Patrick Mahomes had an unbelievable game. I have some stats here I want to say to give credit to Patrick Mahomes, but also that was the first game the Chiefs scored over 30 points this season. The Ravens defense were analytically a top 5 defense, and the Bills were a bottom 10 defense. And I don't think you can argue that the Bills defense was as good as the Ravens.
No, not at all. And especially when, not Bernard. I always
the guy, the Bills corner
Binford.
left.
Binford.
The
Christian
corner,
Binford.
Yeah.
Christian Binford is a really good cornerback. That is tough. Yeah. But it's football. It's the NFL. Injuries happen. It's part of the game. It sucks.
Chiefs have had injuries too.
And I had a very... I didn't want to joke about it, but I did going into the game with Binford. I said, it sure seems like concussions are a little less serious come playoff time, huh? He would not have played if this was a regular season. He wouldn't have. I can almost guarantee it. Almost guarantee it. Because this happens all the time in the playoffs. All of a sudden, they pass concussion protocol, and I'm sitting here going, it's been 5 days. He passed in pregame? Yeah. They had no, this to me is dangerous. And when I make that joke, it's not because I'm taking concussions lightly. My point is that we need to bring awareness to this because this is a dangerous situation.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't blame Binford. You want to play. If you've played a sport and you've been injured and you're on this biggest stage, you are going to try to play. But your coaches, the independent neurologists, they have to say, hey, man, no, because he took a hit that wasn't a vicious hit, right? I mean, I know that vicious is in the eye of the beholder almost when it comes to football and different situations and scenarios, but he did not get this massive helmet-to-helmet hit, and you saw the look on his face. He had no idea where he was at for a long time. That is scary. That is dangerous. I am praying for Binford that he is okay. but he should never have been out there. I hate that the NFL come playoff time, it feels like they do not take concussions seriously or as seriously. That to me is a very dangerous game. If you want credibility for the NFL for saying, we care about the players, we care about concussions, there should not be a difference between regular season and postseason. Maybe I'm young, maybe I'm too far for protecting, and back in the day it was, you're going back out there, all that stuff. But with what we know now, with concussions, that to me was malpractice, and that should be investigated.
Yeah, I agree. Concussion protocol is very clearly a sliding scale depending on, number one, how much of a star player you are or starter, and then number two, how big the game is. The likelihood of getting through concussion protocol when you're a star player and it's a playoff game is way bigger than if you're a special teams player and it's a regular season game in week 12. Which it shouldn't be the case. It should be the same no matter the player, no matter the situation, no matter the game. It should be the place. Should be the same. I do want to give credit to Patrick Mahomes. I got some stats here which are unbelievable, and I have a working theory, and this goes back to the Jordan versus LeBron debate. I think we need to differentiate between greatest of all time and best of all time, and I think Patrick Mahomes is kind of the current example of this. I think Tom Brady was a previous example. I think overall in the regular season, Lamar Jackson and maybe even Josh Allen are better quarterbacks than Patrick Mahomes, but Patrick Mahomes is the greatest of our generation, and it comes to playing at his best in big games, in big moments, and clutch plays. And it's another example last night. This is a tweet from @Shiel Capadia. That's over a 99th percentile game for Patrick Mahomes in terms of dropback success rate. There were only 4 games this entire season where a QB produced a successful play at a higher rate. It's the highest dropback success rate of Mahomes' entire career. In a game, AFC Championship against the Bills, in a game where the Bills played an extremely good game. He had to play that well for the Chiefs to win, and it still almost technically wouldn't have been enough, but in this case, it was enough. Also, here's another one from @SportsWatcher. Playoff games above 0.5 EPA per play. So this is quarterbacks in NFL history. How many playoff games they've had where they've averaged more than 0.5 EPA per play. EPA is expected points added. Tom Brady 3, Josh Allen 3, Peyton Manning 3. It says Peyton. I don't know if that's Peyton Manning or Walter Payton. I'm assuming Peyton Manning. Kurt Warner 3, Russell Wilson 3.
Or PA?
What's that?
Is it PE or PA?
EPA.
No, Peyton for Peyton. Is it PE?
PE.
Yeah, it's Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning. Patrick Mahomes 7. He has 7 playoff games already in his career, which is twice as much as Brady, more than twice as much as Brady, twice as much as Peyton Manning, twice as much as Josh Allen, Russell Wilson. Big Ben only had 2, Drew Brees only had 1, Aaron Rodgers only had 1, where he averaged over or 0.5 EPA per play or more. Patrick Mahomes, when it gets to a big game, might be the greatest athlete of all time next to maybe Michael Jordan.
It's insane. It really was the Rodgers-Brady debate for a long time where it's like, okay, well, Brady's the greatest, but the eye test made you think that Rodgers was better, right? And then you break down close games, and you're like, well, Rodgers has crumbled a lot of times in the playoffs. Brady hasn't, even if the regular season. And the eye test, again, shows you that Rodgers might be more talented. I think you can make the case, now with Mahomes versus Brady, that he's becoming kind of both to an extent. Where I think the eye test makes you think that Mahomes is more talented, than Tom. But now he's starting to actually back it up with rings. Rodgers could never do that. He has the MVP, sure, but he could never back it up with actual playoff success. Mahomes is starting to do that. He's starting to become the best of both. But I get with what you're saying with Lamar in the regular season and Josh Allen in the regular season. And as Joshua says in the chat, Pat only cares about wins now. He has 2 MVPs. He's had big seasons that did not amount to a Super Bowl. I think he's literally at this point in his career, that's all he cares about. I don't think he cares about throwing for 5K. I don't think he cares about another MVP. I think he just cares about Super Bowl wins because all of his best games now come in the playoffs.
Yeah.
When he needed it down the stretch, remember when the Chiefs needed the 1 seed? What happened? 0 turnovers. 0 turnovers since that Bills game until this next Bills game. They had 1. It was the longest streak in NFL history, 8 straight games. When it matters, he just turns it on. Now, I wish he did it all the time. It'd be fun to watch and not be worried all the time. But when the game is on the line, he always answers the call.
Yeah, so I do think there is a little bit of difference between the best of all time and greatest of all time. I think LeBron James for basketball is a better basketball player than Michael Jordan, but he's not nearly as great as Michael Jordan.
That one's, I don't want to do it because we're not a football show.
No.
That's just so hard to me because I think Michael Jordan was more talented.
Yeah, let's not actually get into a Jordan versus LeBron.
But I think LeBron is just more physically gifted. Even though...
Yeah, right. That kind of proves my point. My overarching, what I'm trying to say here is there's a difference between like skill and talent and greatness is all I'm trying to say. And greatness is something that even some of the best athletes at their sport don't have.
Yes, agreed.
Patrick Mahomes has that, and he might have it more than anyone else. He has now a chance this year to be the first quarterback to win 3 straight Super Bowls, something Brady never did. Unfortunately, Mahomes now, no matter how many Super Bowls he wins, Brady fans are going to say when they went head-to-head, Tom Brady won.
It's going to be one of my... Because they're already doing it. I'm already seeing Boston fans doing this, which blows my mind. It's hilarious to me. I'm like, what? It'll be in response to nothing. It'll be like just, Patrick Mahomes moves on, like on an ESPN, and underneath it's like, oh yeah, well, Brady beat Patrick. It's like, no one's talking about this guy. And by the way, he did it when he was with one time when it was Mahomes' first year starting, which, okay, congratulations. That's like beating Jaden Daniels. Nice. Tip your cap, but I don't know if that's the real metric you want to use here. And the second one was, he wasn't even in Boston, you buffoons. He was with the Buccaneers. How are you claiming that?
Patriots kind of claim that Super Bowl, though. Patriots fans kind of claim the Buccaneers Super Bowl, yeah. And yeah, actually, great point. I wanted to bring that up. I guess maybe I shouldn't be surprised, but I still find Chiefs fans insufferable during this run. Not you, Sterling, but the general Chiefs fans. Number 2 on that list is Patriots fans. Patriots fans are like, they're acting like a jealous ex right now. It's crazy. Patriots fans are always, and my Twitter feed is full of Patriots fans being like, yeah, well, that's not as impressive as what we did. And, oh, nobody talks about the Patriots anymore. Remember our dynasty? It's like, relax. You guys had 20 years. Of course, no one's going to talk about it anymore. Move on.
It's like the Steelers are going to come in. Remember our dynasty, guys? Remember no.
Right.
What you talk about the current one. That's just how sports works. You will look back and you will remember it and talk about it. But we're not far enough removed from the Patriots dynasty to where that's going to be the talking point when you're in the middle of a current one. Once there's a situation where it's year after year after year where different teams are winning, then you look back on those. But when you're in the midst of a current one, you don't talk about it.
Now, there is a certain amount of Super Bowls Patrick Mahomes can win, and then it doesn't matter anyways. But another thing Brady did that Patrick Mahomes, and maybe he will later in his career, but he kind of has to, is Brady did go to another team and win one, which is crazy. Because then that takes away the argument of it's a coach. It's even though the Buccaneers had a great defense.
Well,
it's a coach, it's a defense, it's a franchise. He went to another team and won one his second year.
And he won't be there the whole time.
Yeah,
most likely. We think Patrick's probably going to play another 10 years, probably. Yeah, I doubt.
He's 66? And
I doubt he coaches another 10 years.
Yeah, so that's something. But yeah, okay. If he wants to go to a different franchise to prove he can do it, just like Brady did, I'll welcome him to Atlanta with open arms.
No.
Wouldn't that be a twist for this show?
Don't you that'd be my nightmare.
Oh, I'd be such a big Mahomes guy. All right. Do you have anything to talk with this? Because we should actually still talk about the NFC Championship, which we haven't even mentioned.
Oh, yeah. Eagles are bleeping awesome, man.
Yep.
You know my thoughts. I early on I said Eagles Chiefs.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Obviously not just before the playoffs. I said it before the playoffs started, but I said it just earlier on in the season.
Yeah.
That
was that. You weren't exactly going out on a limb predicting.
No, but it was right.
Yeah, true.
I mean, why would I say something and be wrong? Why would
I just do instead? I instead like to do the unpopular thing and predict a matchup that's never going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I could have gone popular and even more so and went Chiefs Detroit. Didn't do it.
Yeah.
I think the Eagles are so talented. I really do. I don't think Nick Sirianni is a good head coach. You know my thoughts on that, but I think that team is so talented. Howie Roseman's done a phenomenal job building this thing. Just the depth that they have, bringing in Bond, Cooper DeJean in the slot, Quinyon Mitchell as well, Darius Slay. They're just so talented. Jalen Carter is just ridiculously good, blowing up the interior offensive lines of teams. Jalen Hurts is, he's not in that category or the tier of Patrick or not even Josh or Joe or Lamar, but he's still a really good quarterback. And he's a dual threat guy, right? Like he can still beat you with his legs, but when he's getting the ball out quick and getting it to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert, it's just so dangerous. That team is just loaded with talent. And then you throw in Saquon, and he's doing the first play of the game for the Eagles, 60-yard touchdown run. It's just absurd. For all the people that say running backs don't matter, okay, fine, nerds, but Saquon matters.
But, okay, I have a couple thoughts based on that. Number one, I will be obviously cheering for the Eagles at the Super Bowl. I just want to make that very clear. Number two, I do love the old throwback of a team that is dragged by the running back, which is not something we have seen in a long time, since like Adrian Peterson in Minnesota, and even then, like they'd never made it to a Super Bowl. So, I mean, when was the last time a running back dragged a team to the Super Bowl? Like the Seahawks in like 2006 or whatever it was against the Steelers with Sean Alexander?
Trent Dilfer, yeah, baby.
A little bit. That would be a little bit earlier. Trent Dilfer, I guess. Yeah, that was more defense, but the running back what was his name?
Not Adams.
Johnson. Jamal Lewis. Jamal right?
Lewis. Yep.
That's another great example. I think that was a little bit more defense than running back, but he had a great. He might actually. Did he rush for 2,000 that year? That's another good example. It is a little bit of a throwback team where this is like defense and running back, which is kind of fun to see. A little bit of a change up. I want to push back a little bit on the Saquon narrative about people are ripping the Giants for letting Saquon go. And that clip is not good. That clip that comes out of the GM, like basically talking about Saquon. But we saw Saquon on the Giants for a number of years, and he did not produce at all. So yes, running backs are very important if you have an offensive line.
Whoa. Didn't produce at all. That is a bold statement. Didn't produce at all is ridiculous.
Not even close.
That's an
to the level that
overreaction.
he's producing at now. His last season with the Giants last year, he averaged 3.9 yards per carry. That's 2 yards fewer per carry than this season.
I'm not disagreeing with you. Said he didn't produce at all. He produced, not to this level.
Oh, well, I mean, define produce, though. Like, I don't think 3.9
He was
yards
really good. He was a consensus top 3 running back his entire tenure in New York.
Based on talent, he didn't even reach 1,000 yards last year.
He was injured. He was coming off of injuries, dog.
The year before that, 4.4 yards per carry, 13. Like, he was good, but like his rookie season was very good. But like those middle years, like he was good.
2022, he had 1,312 yards, 10 touchdowns.
This year he's had 2,000.
Yes, I agree. He also has 50 more carries.
He averaged 5.8 yards per carry this year. My point is, like, the Giants, if they kept him, Saquon wasn't running for 2,000 yards, 125 yards a game, 5.8 yards per carry with the Giants this year.
No,
a lot of people are talking like if the Giants would have just kept Saquon, then they would have had like the offensive player of the year, all pro #1 running back. Not a chance. No. You need an offensive line it has to be offensive line first. And if you have an offensive line, then a really good running back can make a massive difference. But if you don't have an offensive line, it doesn't matter.
No, agreed. I'm not saying he would have done that, but he clearly would have made the Giants a better team this year. There's no denying that.
How many more games? If he was on the Giants this year, how many more games did the Giants win?
Oh, maybe 2.
Right. I think that's kind of my point.
Yeah, maybe 2. I mean, again, he is a difference maker, but he's not going to make that big of a difference when your team is 2 scoops of ass. He's a difference maker if your team is good, or in the case of the Eagles, your team is great. Then all of a sudden things really change. Because, like, that 60-yard touchdown run, throwing in an average running back there. Let's just say Kenneth Gainwell, who's had a really nice year as well, right? Let's say Kenneth Gainwell's your guy. Or Miles Sanders, who's their former running back. He ain't scoring.
No.
They're not scoring. They might get 10 yards. Saquon turns it into 16 a touchdown.
Correct.
Right? That's the difference there.
But it's the offensive line that gets the running back the first 5 yards. And if you don't have that offensive line, you're not going to get to the point where then you can start to make people miss.
Agreed.
Whereas a quarterback, and I think this is kind of where my point is leading, a really good quarterback could have won the Giants 5 more games, 6 more games.
We saw
a really good running back, even 2 games, I think, is a stretch.
We saw Washington do this with Jaden Daniels.
Right, correct. Yes.
Which, by the way,
I'm just pushing back to the narrative where it's like the Giants are idiots for. They should have kind of franchise tagged him and then try to trade him to get more out of it.
Yes.
But the Giants weren't like, it's not like he was going to go for 2,000 yards for the Giants and lead them to a Super Bowl.
Agreed.
Right.
We're on the same page for the most part there.
I think so.
I don't think we disagree much there. Washington, though, huge hat tip to you guys. Man, such a fun team to watch. I feel so happy for those fans with the debacle of Snyder and all that stuff going up to that, all the name changes, and all of a sudden now you have an identity. Now you have a quarterback, you have a leader, you have a head coach, you have the organization finally going in the correct direction, because that team wasn't really good. And Jaden Daniels still drug them to an NFC Championship appearance. I'm not trying to take a knock on those guys. That's not what I'm trying to do. But if we're being real, you look at that roster compared to the Eagles. You look at that roster compared to like the Bills, the Ravens, or the Chiefs.
No, it's not even
there's no comparison. And it's because they're still early on in that retooling. But you have Terry McLaurin. You have Ben Sinnen if you want to eventually take over for Zach Ertz. You'll get some more wide receivers. You'll get an offensive line. You'll get some defensive players. But the fact of the matter is they did this. If you look, again, PFF's not the end-all be-all. I know I push back on the analytics, but just for this argument here, look at their PFF scores just of that team. That is not an NFC Championship team. No. That is Jaden Daniels dragging that team there. And he was amazing against the Eagles for the most part.
Still had a very good game. 29 for 48, 255, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. And at the end of the yards on the ground.
Yeah, at the end of the game, it is what it is. Jaden Daniels was amazing in this game.
Yeah.
But it was the rest of the team that let him down. It was special teams with 2 fumbles. It was Austin Eckler with a fumble.
Yeah. Fumbles.
Yeah,
fumbles,
plural.
A team that's out-skilled and out-talented like the Commanders were in this game. Yet, I mean, even a team that would be as good as the Eagles, you can't turn the ball over 4 times. And if you're not as good as the Eagles and you turn the ball over 4 times, that's how you lose 55-23. So, yeah, you simply can't have a -4 turnover differential. Hey, Philip, great point in the chat. Great point in the chat. Are the Falcons secretly in the Super Bowl? Kind of. Beat the Eagles, took the Chiefs down to the wire. The Falcons secretly a Super Bowl contender. People are asking.
They're going to play the Bengals.
Bowl, do they have to rematch with the Falcons to like solidify their Super Bowl? Like, is it an asterisk if the Eagles win the Super Bowl?
I say the Falcons should play the Bengals for the what if championship.
Okay, I'll take that. I'll take that.
No, man. I'm happy for Washington fans. I am, because Jaden Daniels is that guy. Dan Quinn, head coach, you happy for him?
Am I happy for Dan Quinn? I'm indifferent, I guess. I like Dan Quinn when he was with the Falcons. He did.
Well, that's my point. I didn't know if that was like
lost the Super Bowl for us, and he didn't look great in this game either. A couple of questionable coaching decisions, but he's a likable guy. Yeah, good for him.
Yeah.
The Bengals and Falcons are playing in the Cancun Super Bowl. Yeah.
You know what? I think it's BS that they get to go to Cancun. Make them go to someplace worse. Make them go to like a.
Yeah, hold on. What is with Cancun? That's what everyone says. Cancun. Like, do players actually go to Cancun? Like, where'd that come from? Why is that like a meme now?
And I kind of hate it because didn't the player wasn't like Dwayne Wade, LeBron.
Yeah, it was
like
an NBA
Melo,
thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then I think it just kind of crossed over to all sports. But I hate it because I'm like, Cancun's, I'm pretty sure, is lovely. Like, no, make him go to, what's Charles Barkley say? Send him to Galveston. Send him like Galveston, Texas. Like, I don't know. Yeah. Sorry, like, no, because Wyoming's, I think, beautiful. Send him to Delaware. I don't know.
Send him to Nova Scotia.
Yeah, send him to Canada.
Yeah, go get cultured in Nova Scotia.
But you can't go like ice fishing or anything. You gotta just like hang out there.
Yeah. Go to Yarmouth, Nova Scotia.
Sorry,
Um,
Delaware.
does it get worse than Cincy? Make them stay home, maybe. Yeah, you could just stay home in Cincinnati.
Sorry, Joshua. I actually think I know. I think Cincinnati's a pretty fun city. Cincy's pretty cool.
I've never been. Actually, next week will be the first time I'll be in a New York or in an American city. Even though I've lived in the U.S. for over 3 years now, I have not left New York City. So it'll be fun to go to a different American city next week.
Are you serious?
Yeah, part of my plan was when I moved here was I did get to travel to other places in the U.S. and I just never got the chance. So,
Dude, come to KC. What the hell, guy? Iain, let's golf and eat barbecue.
All right, I'm in. I'll be behind enemy lines, but I'll be behind enemy lines next week too. All right, I think that pretty much sums it up for Commanders Eagles. It was the Eagles are clearly the far superior team, and if you also turn the ball over 4 times against them, that's going to be your toast. So we got 5 minutes here, 3 minutes, Sterling. Early thoughts on Eagles Chiefs. We're obviously going to get into it more on Wednesday's show, and then obviously all next week we'll be on site. But what is your initial reaction for this Super Bowl matchup?
Well, I know it's different that the Bills and the Eagles do it, but the fact that Chiefs stopped the tush push multiple times in that game should give Chiefs fans and Chiefs players a lot of hope. I know it's different. I know the Eagles' offensive line, they almost like submarine, and they go at the legs and the shins of the Chiefs' defense or defensive players in general. But the fact that Chiefs were able to stop Josh Allen and the Bills doing that gives me and the players, I think, a lot of confidence going forward in this one. Eagles are talented, but the Bills were talented too. I just, if the game is close, game on the line, and it's coming down the wire, who do you trust more, Jalen Hurts or Patrick Mahomes? The answer is Patrick. I'm always going to go with the better quarterback. So I think it's a close game. I do. I don't know score-wise yet, high scoring, low scoring, but yeah, this should be a really fun game. I got to dive into the matchups a little bit more because I got to see where the weak points are of the Eagles because, at a glance, I've watched a lot of their games. Doesn't seem to be a super weak aspect of their game outside of maybe Jalen Hurts at times throwing the football.
Yeah. I think from an analytics perspective, and I'll, have my notes more later on this week, but from an analytics perspective, the Eagles are by far the better team. And 2 years, hold on. Just give me a second. 30-second timeout. 30-second timeout. Analytically, the Eagles are by far the better team. In almost every single metric you want to look at. 2 years ago, that was my belief, and I bet the Eagles. Last year, it was my belief the 49ers were the better team. I bet the 49ers. I told you I'm a new man. I've seen the light, and no matter what the analytics tell me, I've already decided I will be betting on the Chiefs because Patrick Mahomes. It is like
so much fun.
It's happening, and if I would have bet on the Bills last night, I might not be on the show this morning. I've learned my lesson. When it comes to the Chiefs, there's a greatness to them that you just have to kind of rely on. You can't overanalyze things. It's going to be a close game, and Patrick Mahomes will do what Patrick Mahomes does, and he'll win the game and win his 3rd straight. So I will be placing a pretty hefty bet on the Chiefs once again.
Smart.
But, and I'll have some numbers maybe for Wednesday's show. From a metrics and analytics standpoint, the Eagles should win, but they won't. And I'll prove my point on Wednesday, but it won't matter.
I lived in Philly for 3 years, by the way. So I have a whole bunch of trash talk with friends and cousins and family that live in Philly still. So this is going to be a fun little week and a half leading up to the Super Bowl.
Philip says, so it's Ian's bets that are a source of the anger. Yes, to an extent. But winning bets on the Chiefs then softens my anger. But I think what my anger really boils down to is, number one, jealousy, because I just want what Chiefs fans have, and it's insane. And I have had nothing but heartbreak, and they get to win every single year. It's not fun for me to watch. I'm jealous. And number two, I do just like not seeing the same team win every single year. I do like other teams to win.
Fair. Totally fair.
Some people say, don't you want to cheer for greatness? I get that. For me, no. I want to see different teams win. I get excited when a new team wins. Like even in MLB, like when the Texas Rangers won a couple years ago, that was fun for me because Rangers fans were surprised. It was nice. Rangers fans waiting their whole life to get a World Series win.
When the Royals won in 2015, right? You were thrilled too?
Well, no, not that year because yeah, they beat the Jays in the
Oh, what happened? Oh, yeah.
yeah.
But
So
Jose Batista had a cool bat flip, though, right? So you have that going for you.
I have that, and I have the 2010 Olympics when Sidney Crosby scored the overtime winner against US in Vancouver. That's really my only. That's the sports moment. Those are the two I go back to watch. That's all I have. Last comment here. Joshua, as Bills Mafia thought maybe they need to retire the Mr. Brightside thing. Isn't that a song about being jealous of another guy? Presumably, great point. I didn't know the Bills had. Do they have a thing with Mr. Brightside? I wasn't aware of that, but if they do, great point. Are you aware of a Mr. Brightside thing?
Yeah, and it's actually what's funny is actually it's a Missouri thing to begin with.
Wait, what do you mean it's a Missouri thing?
Missouri basketball and football. The University of Missouri has been doing it for a long time.
Oh.
And it's because they don't like Kansas, right? The school. A lot don't like the state, but the school. And during the I'm Mr. Brightside, and it's bleep KU, bleep KU. It's a big thing in Missouri and Kansas. So the fact that the Bills took a Kansas City, Missouri thing was very like, okay, weird.
Yeah. So, yeah, maybe retire that one, Bills. Maybe find a new one next year. I'm getting roasted on Twitter for the video I tweeted out. Anti-Chiefs December 3rd. People don't know that I'm a new man now.
You're changed.
My DMs and replies aren't very fun right now, though. All right, that is the show. We'll be back Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern, to dive into the Super Bowl matchup a little bit more. And then next week, we'll be live next week from Radio Row, which will be fun. I don't have the exact times, but maybe we'll have that by Wednesday. All right, thank you all so much for watching, listening. Subscribe to Stack in the Box on YouTube. Leave a comment below about your prediction for Super Bowl 59. All right, we'll talk to you Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern. Bye.